Dear friends, welcome to this week's virtual Drasha. This week we have the incredible privilege to read the double parashas of Acharei and Kedoshim. And Parashas Acharei begins in the riveting section regarding the avoda, the sacrificial service of Yom Kippur. And the Torah goes into great detail regarding this service because it's unique in so many ways. It's unique, first of all, because this service, or at least parts of this service, provide atonement for all of Klal Yisrael. Furthermore, it's unique because it can only be done by one man, only the Kohen Gadol. And to highlight this uniqueness, it's the only time during the year that the high priest, the Kohen Gadol, enters into the Kodesh HaKadoshim, the Holy of Holies. So as one could imagine, because of the sanctity, severity, importance, and pivotal nature of this avodah, it's highly scripted. And what's incredible is that although we don't yet have the third Beis HaMikdash, the ability to see the step-by-step progression of the avodah, if we close our eyes and open our neshamas, we're able to see it, we're able to feel it, we're able to experience it. And I want to draw your attention to something quite fascinating. So after that section, then in Perek Yud Zayin, chapter 17, then the Torah goes on to discuss general sacrificial law. So one of the things that the Torah spends an immense amount of time on, not just in this parsha, but a number of times throughout the entire Torah, is the need to only offer up karbanos inside of the Mishkan and then later on in the Beis HaMikdash. Torah repeats this concept over and over and over. The Sefer HaChinuch explains because it was common for in pagan cultures to sacrifice wherever you want. The truth is, we even had periods like that where bamos, private altars, were permitted. And therefore, HaKadosh Baruch Hu goes out of his way that sacrificial service has to be centralized. Sacrificial service has to be in the Mishkan and then later on in the Beis HaMikdash. And the Torah says as follows. After going through that detail, right, you have to bring the blood, you have to bring the karban, ultimately again to the Beis HaMikdash. Then the Torah says as follows. Perek Yud Zayin, Pasuk Vav, chapter 17, verse 6. V'zorak hakohen es hadam al mizbach Hashem Pesach ol Moed. What do you do with the blood? What do you do with sacrificial blood? So the Torah says the kohen shall sprinkle it on the mizbeach, on the altar, Pesach ol Moed, at the entranceway of the ol Moed of the Mishkan. V'ktir hachelev l'reich nichoach l'Hashem, and the fats are also offered up on the mizbeach. So this concept of blood applications on the mizbeach, right? What do we do with blood? Now, generally, blood, when it comes to general consumption, you're not allowed to eat it. Ala aretz tishbachenu kamayim. This is parsha as well. You're not allowed to go ahead and eat blood. Sacrificial blood, however, must be sprinkled on the mizbeach. And the Lubavitcher Rebbe, Zecher Tzaddik Kadosh Levracha, says something so beautiful, and I want to quote you. He says, "Dam misamel chios v'chamimos." Blood it represents like the life force. And chamimos means like passion. Blood represents passionate life force. He says, what do we do with blood? So I shecht an animal. What do I do with the blood of the karban? I sprinkle it on the mizbeach. Why? V'ukarav ala mizbeach lirmos shahalat v'hislavos yesh lishmar rak lidvarim shebekdusha. And I take the blood, which represents the life force vitality, the life force passion of the animal, and I put it on the mizbeach. The mizbeach represents that vehicle. The mizbeach, if you think about it, is the bridge between heaven and earth. The mizbeach takes something physical and material and literally again elevates it. L'reach nichoach, has a pleasing aroma to Hashem. So says Lubavitcher Rebbe, I take the blood, which represents again vitality, life force, passion, and I put it on the mizbeach to highlight this idea that all of our hislavos, right, all of our energy and all of our passion, all of our abilities, lishma rak l'dvarim shebekdusha, should be used for a higher holy purpose. We take the blood of the animal, which represents animalistic drives and wants and lusts and passion and vitality, and I put it on the mizbeach, highlighting this yesod, that everything, every force, every energy somehow has to find its positive outlet and positive expression in this world. Take all of those passions, take all of those energies, take all of that life force, and somehow channel it and use it for dvarim shebekdusha, for holy purposes as endeavors. And the Rebbe goes on, he says, "V'lachein hadam asr ba'achila." Therefore, blood we know is forbidden from consumption. Hainu shelo nitan lafoch osa ladam ubasar kibsar shel gufa Yehudi shekadashu. You see, here's what's interesting, right? I'm allowed to eat meat, but I'm not allowed to eat blood, right? Isn't that fascinating? So the meat, I could consume the meat of an animal, but blood, which represents the vital life force, blood which represents the intensity of life force, blood which represents passion and islavos and energy and excitement and pushes and even wants and carnal desire, all the blood that you can't consume, that can't be ingested, that has to be put on the Mizbeach. Because placing the blood on that Mizbeach teaches me that when I look inside of myself, there is so much vitality, and there's so much passion, and there's so much energy. And yes, there are so many wants and desires and lusts and proclivities, but all of those things also represent the kolchos that I have. And my entire avoda of life, my entire beautiful holy life mission is to take all of those things that are inside of me, all of that dam, and put it on the Mizbeach. Find a holy outlet for the beautiful energy that I possess within. You know what the Rebbe is telling us is something so incredibly beautiful, which is so often in life, we think that like the goal is to change, right? The goal, I have to change myself into someone better. I have to change myself into someone different. I think what the Heilige Rebbe is teaching us is that that's not the case. The goal is not to change. The goal is to channel. The goal is to look inside myself and see that I possess all of this dam, right? Ki hadam hu hanefesh. Inside of that lifeblood, my own lifeblood, is energy, is vitality, is passion, is excitement, and yes, wants, desires, lust, proclivities, all of those things. But they're two sides of the same coin. Everything you lust after. If you lust, Chavra, you know what the bigger problem than lust is? I know this might sound crazy. The bigger problem than lust is no lust. Because if you don't lust after anything, right, you don't desire anything, then that means that there's a gaping hole, there's energy that's missing. If I lust and I desire, that means I have vitality. Okay, it could be that I'm using it in all the wrong ways. It could be that I'm channeling it in a whole bunch of different wrong directions, but the chiyus, the energy is there. The dam goes on the Mizbeach. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, look inside yourself and identify what kochos do you have? What life energy, what life vitality? Even an animal, right? Even an animal has the basar and has the dam. It has its flesh and it has its blood. And for the animal, the blood represents, it's like the ability to be an animal is in the blood. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, don't be an animal, take the blood, put it on the Mizbeach, lift it up, look inside yourself. What are the kochos, the abilities? What are all the energies, the passion that I have? And how could I use it towards something bigger? How could I use it towards something better? How could I take all the things that make me, me, all the gifts and all the talents and all the pushes and pulls that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has endowed me with, and how do I put it on the Mizbeach? How do I take my dam, my blood, my life vitality, and offer it up on the altar of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, thereby elevating it to something more beautiful, to something more holy, to something more productive? Every once in a while you come across an idea, and it's not just like a beautiful vart in the parsha, but rather, again, it's life. The good that Rebbe is telling us over here is this is the essence of what it means to be a yid. Don't change, just channel. Now, sometimes we have to change, and sometimes there are things we have to stop doing and things we have to start doing. But so much of what we need to do to self-actualize comes from channeling things. Anything and everything I need, and anything I need to be accomplished, I need to it's all there. It's all there. You don't have to change anything. You just have to channel it and figure out a way to use it perhaps a little bit better. It's such an overwhelming and beautiful yesod. And perhaps, this is also why, if you notice, and this always intrigued me, the Kohen doesn't place the blood on the Mizbeach. Instead, what does he do? Vizorak, the zrika, sprinkling. It always intrigued me, right? I don't know, it seems like a little bit, I don't know. I don't think, and I know in my house, my wife, I don't think wants us sprinkling blood anywhere. I think HaKadosh Baruch Hu's house, he doesn't want, why sprinkling? It probably gets all over the place. Let the Kohen dip his finger, smear it on his back, and gamarnu. That's it. Why the sprinkling? Perhaps also what sprinkling represents, vizorak. Vizorak means like there's a certain hislavos. There's a certain alacrity. In other words, to sprinkle something takes a lot faster than to place it, right? It's not as much premeditated. You dip your finger, sprinkle, done. Placement. Perhaps this idea of channeling and HaKadosh Baruch Hu saying is take the dam and sprinkle it, move it. Because if only you realize that anything and everything you need to be successful is already inside of you. Don't change anything. Just start channeling. How different life would be. how profoundly different life would be. It's not about change. It's just about channeling. This is the sacred mission that Akadosh Baruch Hu gives us, that the Lubavitcher Rebbe brings out, to look inside of ourselves and to identify, number one, we're so good at finding our faults. We're so good at finding our faults. It's really the faults of others. It's also good sometimes to look inside yourself and to find your kochos. What are your abilities? Each of us possesses so many ridiculous and overwhelming beautiful talents. And to identify, where is your energy? Well, you may say to yourself, oh, I love that Avera, right? I run after that Avera like nobody's business. Good. I mean, not good, but good. You have passion. You have energy. You have excitement. Fantastic. You possess those kochos. Now take that dam and put it on the Mizbeach. Find the time to introspect. Identify the kochos you know about. Discover the ones you don't yet know about. Discover the kochos that manifest themselves in the good things we do, and discover the kochos that manifest themselves in the averos that we perform. Then gather them all together. V'zorak hakoin es adam al mizbeach. Gather them all together, and ultimately sprinkle them on the mizbeach of Hashem. Gather them all together and don't wait. Don't place it. Sprinkle it. Figure out a way to use each and every one of those kochos to somehow serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu, serve Klal Yisrael. In that process, become the best version of you. And in that process, discover the true inner beauty that each of us possess. Wishing everyone a good Erev Shabbos and a beautiful Shabbos Kodesh.